So we're talking about The Menu. Came out last year. This is starring Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, Hong Chow, who we recently just saw in The Whale. She was great in this movie. Janet McTeer, who was in another show that failed miserably to end well, Ozark. He was the one who worked for...
The Lawyer.
The Lawyer, yep. We got John Leguizamo, a bunch of other people, but also Judith Light, who was in Who's the Boss?
Is that gonna fit everyone?
Yeah, easily. 12 customers total.
How do they turn a profit?
$12.50 a head, that's how.
What, are we eating a Rolex?
It's one of his classics.
This movie came out last year, and it was directed by Mark Milad, I don't know how you pronounce his name, and he's done a bunch of television stuff. We talked about Game of Thrones. He directed 6 episodes of that show. He's done a bunch of Succession, Shameless. So kind of a TV guy. This movie's basically Gordon Ramsay having like a really, really bad day. I'll say off the bat, I'm 100% Margot in this movie, minus like being an escort.
Sure.
Although for the right
Allegedly.
price, for the right price, I don't know. This movie, The Menu, is hilarious and very subtle about the fact that it is at all a comedy. And there were a lot of really funny moments in this movie, but it's funny in the sense that I feel like you have to kind of be in on the joke. And it's mainly the joke of like who these people are. So the plot of The Menu is this starts out with this couple, and it's Anya Taylor-Joy's character Margot and Nicholas Holt's character Tyler, and they're they're going on a boat to be taken to this like remote island for this chef tasting. What do they call these events, Nick? Just chef tasting, right? You go to them all the time with your wife.
I do not go to them all the time with my wife.
Have you or have you not gone to tastings?
Absolutely.
Okay, what are they called?
A chef's tasting, a tasting menu.
Okay, so there's no... Okay, there it is. And so I just want to say off the bat, you've gone quite a bit. You usually do it for like your anniversary. You like to go to them.
We went the first year for our anniversary, and it was the best meal I've ever had. So.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe hopefully you don't end up getting murdered at one of them. So this movie is completely different than what I thought it was. I never watched a trailer for it. When it came out, I had like read like 1 or 2 things about it. And I assumed, I don't know why I assumed, but I thought it was like a movie about like cannibalism or something.
Yeah. You said that a couple of times.
Yeah. So that's what I thought this was. So I was completely taken for a loop. So this couple, they're going for a chef's tasting. And as the movie plays out, you realize like, oh, it's a bunch of like just rich assholes who are like really just pompous fucking... I don't even know how to describe them. Basically, the reasons why I hate like art and like wine and like all this shit is it's a group
What's wrong with wine?
Well, it's a group of those people that like they say things like, there's a neediness in the plate.
The chef himself said it. He said, he's like, my craft has reached a level that only you people can afford this bullshit.
Yes. But because of the way that these people are, it made for a lot of very funny stuff, particularly from Lillian, the food critic, and her little lackey.
She was the best.
They were
best
hilarious.
Character.
She goes, I make my own bread. It's very rustic. Like, just the way these people, like, and I've seen that too. Like, you know, I've been to like art museums when you overhear people talking about shit and they're just, the depiction of this piece is very elementary. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, nobody talks like that. But as Nick said, that is the purpose of this movie. This is about our boy, Chef Slowick, played by Ralph Fiennes, who he's basically Gordon Ramsay. He's a very famous celebrity chef who fell out of love with the art of cooking and his craft, mainly because of these pompous assholes who he explains throughout the movie that they've just basically ruined it for him and other
Can't
artisans.
be satiated, yeah.
Right. So after a little bit, you realize that he's brought all these people here to essentially punish them for their crimes. But there's a little bit of a twist because Anya Taylor-Joy, she's not really supposed to be there.
It matters because this menu, this guest list, this entire evening has been painstakingly planned, and you are not a part of that plan. And it's spoiling everything.
Did you guys find it funny? I would imagine Nick did, but did you too?
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it was hilarious for sure.
When the food critic looked at the plate with minus the bread,
oh yeah,
and she goes, "Oh, that's a broken emulsion," and like you have no idea like how to emulsify anything, and they just bring us a giant pot. Like
Yeah.
Some extra
Yeah.
broken emulsion for you.
But I like that her lackey, like he worked for the magazine that she was writing the article for. He was like, he would always disagree with her, but then agree with her after she like said something.
When they first were doing the tour, she said something like biome, and then he tried to use a different word, and she's like, no, I like biome better. Of course biome is better.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Nick, did you get a lot of food critics in your restaurants when you worked there?
Absolutely. And when they came in, we were alerted and everything had to stop
Yeah,
and they had to be taken care of, which is bullshit because everyone's
It
there
is.
paying to eat.
Right.
Right.
And you live and die by what this person says about your food in your restaurant. And that's the way it goes.
Because it could kill your business.
Fucked up.
Exactly.
Right.
And
that's-
nowadays with everyone, the Yelp reviews and everything, it's
Mhm.
like ballooned out.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really like, you know, the point of this movie really is it's his reasoning for doing what he's doing. It's just a couple of quotes that I pulled because they really made me laugh. I think it was Lillian who said it, but she said it wasn't about the food. It was when they brought out the tarp at that one point, and she goes,
Yeah.
it's very theatrical, but quite minimalist. I was just like, what the fuck? But the person who I thought was the funniest, and I think that's the point of his character, was Nicholas Holt's character, Tyler. And Tyler is introduced to us as this basically fanboy of celebrity
More
chef
than just a fanboy.
Slowick. Yeah.
A know-it-all.
He's a
as
know-it-all
well.
about food. Like he very is into like the craft of food. And throughout the movie, we think that Anya Taylor-Joy is like his girlfriend and he's taking her on this date. We come to find out later that she's actually a escort, and he hired her to come with him last minute after his girlfriend, who was supposed to go with him, broke up with him. He was very funny to me because throughout the movie, as like the events start to escalate in like what's happening, you know, people are getting their fucking fingers chopped off. One of the sous chefs fucking blows his brains out in front of everybody. He's like acting like none of it was really
He doesn't
going
give a
on, and he
fuck.
was into the food. And it's later you realize he was actually in on it, on the plan, because Chef Slowick contacted him like weeks prior and let him know, like, yeah, people are going to die tonight and you can't tell anybody. So that's why he was unaffected by it.
Yeah.
But it made for comedy
I
because
thought he let him know he was going to die as well.
that's how I took it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew everybody
so
was going
he
to
went
die.
there knowing that he was going to die himself.
That's how obsessed he was.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how obsessed he was with the food. But there's one brief moment, and I don't know if you guys caught this, but when they did the bread thing, there's one of the plates here is, I guess, a bread plate without the bread. And it's like the dips,
Right.
the dips that you would
Just
dip the bread in.
condiments. Yeah.
Yeah. And the camera's not even focused on him. It's like panning off on somebody else. But in the background, you hear him like as he's eating, he goes, embalm me in this. Like I was fucking cackling. So, you know, it's a very funny movie in that way because you're looking at all these people who are just ridiculous human beings.
For sure. No, it was hilarious. I thought the chef might have been the funniest. There was one quote
was great.
where he's like, he was talking to one of the guests and she was like, no, I shouldn't even be here. And he was like, where'd you go to college? She's like, oh, I went to Brown.
I wrote that
Did you
down
have
too.
any student loans? No, I'm sorry, you're dying.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. Oh my god, that was so
the best
funny.
quote that he said was he's asking the billionaire couples that have been there like 11 times, and he asked them, name one dish that
Yep.
that you've had here last time, and he couldn't think of anything, and she like whispers to him like, she's like cod,
Yeah,
and he's like cod, and he's like, it was halibut. Like, what does it matter? He's like, it matters to the halibut.
he called her something. Did he call her? He says it's halibut.
A donkey.
You donkey.
He called
Oh
her
yeah,
a
donkey. That made me think
Gave her
of
the
Gordon
Ramsay
Ramsay.
donkey.
Yeah.
You fucking donkey!
But that being said, it works as a thriller because there are a lot of really tense moments in the movie, especially before you kind of realize what's going on. It's like a slow burn because anybody who knows what a chef's tasting is, like you're brought a series of courses, right? Of little tastings of different dishes, but each one that he brings out starts to escalate more and more until really the turning point in the movie is when he brings out this like tortilla dish, and on the tortilla are like laser printed photographs essentially of all the guests' deepest, darkest secrets. The couple that Nick just mentioned, like there's a picture of the husband cheating, and there's
With Margot.
with Margot, yes.
Yep.
And there's a group of 3 douchebags who like work for this company, and they are committing tax fraud and embezzlement of the company, and like the tax documents are printed on the thing.
You know what's fucked up? John Leguizamo's character got the worst luck because the only reason he was there was because he ruined his day off when he went to see the movie.
Yes.
It's like, bro,
He
you're
was
gonna kill
in
me
a
for
bad
that?
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was more than that. I think it was because,
He was starting a food show and he was doing research for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he
okay.
like knows nothing about it, and he bites it, and the woman he is with goes, "Oh, how is it?" And he just like goes, "It's good."
Yeah. John Leguizamo played he's credited as movie star, and he plays like this washed up movie star who takes
Yeah.
roles that just pay money and like don't provide anything. And that's where Ralph Fiennes' character is really like, that's where he's coming from, is like, I provide a service to people, but it's become not that anymore. Like, it took the joy out of it. And like that, you know, any art form is you're providing something to somebody. And in this
Right.
guy's case, you know, you're a movie star, you're providing entertainment to people, but you've lost the love of the craft, that you're just trying to make a check and not
Right.
actually give a fuck about the product that you're putting out.
They almost basically show it to you when Margot is in the room when she gets past the silver door. You see the pictures of
His career.
him through his career. Like, he's got the family smiling, and then, you know, he's
All right.
at the end, he's kind of standing there, he's not smiling, and then she sees the one where, as a kid, you know, you got to start, he's flipping burgers. He has this big old grin on his face because he's just loving it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I messaged Nick earlier today and I was like, hey, get ready for tonight. Get your camera and mic ready. And we were just talking back and forth. And he's like, oh, did you watch it yet? I said, no, I usually watch before we record, like after dinner time. So it's like fresh in my head. And he goes, oh, you're going to snap. And I was like, why? Well, because I'm obsessed with burgers. And like, I'm always sending Nick burger videos on like how to make smash burgers. I told you guys I make me smash burgers. It's like my favorite thing in the world to eat. And the climax of the movie basically is a burger, in a sense. And I actually got a little choked up.
Proceed, I have to know where to seat you. With us or with them. It's very important.
And then you'll let me live?
That you live? No. Of course not. Can't you see that? And that'd ruin the
Well,
man.
they didn't even try to leave. Like, that's what I found odd about. Nobody tried to do anything.
They didn't really
just
fight
like
or anything.
they just
yeah.
went with it. Like,
Well,
oh, we're gonna
yeah.
die. All right.
Well, he even
Yeah.
says it in the movie. He was like, you know, you guys could have tried to leave at any point and you probably would have got away with it too.
I just think that was they were trying to show the absurdness of the pretentiousness, because Margot was the only character who was willing to talk back and say things to the chef. Because Tyler, you know, he was like slamming the table, like, what are you, fucking child? You don't sit back stuff to a chef like this. What the fuck is
Yeah.
wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
no. That's not how this works. Yeah.
He feels for her because he realizes that she's like not a piece of shit. Like, he, you know, there's a moment where they talk and he's like, oh, you're in the service industry too. I could tell people are fucking rude and this, that, and they don't value us and all this shit. But she has that breakthrough moment where she's like, as Dusty said, she talks back to him and she's like, you know what? I don't even like your fucking food. There was this like running theme throughout the movie. She wasn't eating any of the dishes. And he was like, why aren't you fucking eating my food? Like, I need to know. And finally she says, like, I just don't like your fucking food and I'm still fucking hungry. And he's like, well, what could I make you
Yeah.
that would make you full? And she's like, I just want a burger.
It's when he's plating the burger and he gives that little grin. That's when
Well, that's where I
Yeah.
got
that's
choked
what
up.
got me. Yeah.
I got a little choked
I,
up.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You probably did more than me because you actually enjoy cooking, but this doesn't just, it's not just exclusive to cooking. It's for just any art form really, or anything you do that you enjoy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I enjoy doing art, but now that I do it for a living, like, I don't really care
Yeah.
for it that much. And that's
That
how
feeling
Right.
when you know you've done a good job and
Mhm. You're doing these elaborate, barely fucking food dish things that like you're putting out, but really at the end of the day, what's better than just making a fucking good burger? And the answer
That's
is
true.
nothing, because nothing is better
Although
than a good
that
burger.
chicken thigh was looking really fucking good. I ain't gonna lie.
That did look
I would have
fucking
ate that.
And the oyster I would have ate too. That shit looked good too. And the scallops. I would have eaten everything. I just like food, but there's just nothing better than a good fucking burger. And he says all the things. It's funny because, you know, Nick gets mad at me whenever I bring up burgers, but he'll be like, enough with fucking burgers. But like, he says all the things that you would say. It's like, American cheese is the best cheese to use on a burger.
Yeah.
It just
when,
is.
When he was cooking that burger on the flat top and just like the cheese melted onto the flat top and that little corner of the cheese crusted up
Yep.
and then it just
Mhm.
perfectly got scooped up on the bread. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
whew.
That shit
I
was
like I
looking
could
good.
I could like taste that bite from just watching it. I was like, oh boy.
And
Yep.
that's why you're going to be making them this weekend. Oh no, this weekend's Easter. You won't be able to. Next weekend.
I'm called to make you smash burgers.
Yeah.
You tried making your own, Dan?
No, if I made a smash burger
He
in
would
my
fail.
house,
He'd burn his house down.
no, I would probably be able to do it. I would get kicked out of my house. There's no way the smoke that is produced from those smash burgers would be allowed in my home. Forget about it.
Welcome to Hawthorne. I'm Julian Slowick, and tonight it'll be our pleasure to feed you.
The curtain rises.
Over the next few hours, you will ingest fat, salt, sugar, protein, bacteria, fungi, various plants and animals, and at times entire
I
ecosystems.
thought it was so funny how at the end they still put their cards and money up to pay. It's like they were so entranced in what was happening.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Dusty said, they were so consumed by their what was the word you used?
I used a lot of words. Was it pretentious?
Pretentious, yeah. They were so consumed by that pretension that they had that like they were willing to die to be like kind of to be is how I took it
And
anyway.
pay and be yeah, she was the only one that was willing to say no.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
She send the order back, get a new one. Can I get it to go? Yes, you can. Like she beat the system, and they all watched her do it, and they all watched her walk away and leave, and they didn't. They just sat there like, all right, you can, yeah, okay, go ahead and kill us.
It was
we
like
deserve it.
it was like the final gag of the movie. Not meant to be taken seriously. Obviously, anybody in this situation would try to survive and flee and do
Right.
all that stuff. But
He could have poisoned the burger. That is a possibility.
he could have, but I
Ooh.
didn't get the sense that he did. Like he appreciated her because they were so he saw her as an equal, as like a service industry worker equal, but also he at the end appreciated the fact that she not only fucking shot him down and like brought him back to earth a little bit, but also
She showed that she was the paying customer, and
yeah,
that
she
he was servicing her and not him. Not the other way around, because
yes.
these other people were acting like the chef is, they're serving the chef just by being there when it's not. That's not the case.
A chef is the happiest when they're just making food for people. It's what I tell Nick all the time. You should be happy to make me food because it's your job as a chef.
Yeah.
Like you want to just put food in people's mouths and in any, again, that works for any art form. As a movie director, like you want to deliver this experience for people, but it's
Right.
critics, it's fucking scumbag, fucking Yelpers, and like all these people that like ruin that and turn it into something that it's really not. And that's, I think, ultimately why he appreciated Anya Taylor-Joy, because she brought him down to earth and she showed him that like, oh wait, I could still enjoy something I enjoyed like 30 years ago. Something as simple as like making a burger for somebody.
Well, that's why the original celebrity chef, Marco Pierre White, gave back his Michelin stars.
Did he
He
now?
earned them. Yes, he did.
Tell us about that.
Damn.
Well, he was like Britain's first. You get rated by Michelin stars, like that's like the highest honor you could get as a chef. So if
Right.
you have 3 Michelin stars, you're like, that's it. Like that's the top of the top.
Mhm.
So like he strived to get those Michelin stars, and he finally got them. And then he was just like similar to Ralph Fiennes' character.
Yeah.
It's just like, why am I like, I don't give a shit about you people. And
Right.
he gave them back, and that's it. And then he just
Wow.
enjoyed his life with his family, and he continued cooking, but not like at that level
Yeah.
of pressure and maintaining that level of perfection, basically. And he gave
That's
them back,
gangster.
and that's it. It's a great book. There's The
That's
Devil in
gangster.
the Kitchen. It's
What's
like
his name?
fantastic read. Marco Pierre White.
Mm.
He's the chef who trained Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay
Oh,
worked
yeah.
under him.
You've told me about him.
Wow.
Didn't
Yeah.
he make Gordon Ramsay cry or some
He
shit?
did make Gordon Ramsay cry. It's a
Whoa.
great book. You should read it.
Whoa.
Get out of my way.
It's all part of the menu.
It's okay.
No, we're gonna die tonight.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this movie was great, honestly. Everybody was pretty great in it, like doing their own thing. Like Janet McTeer, who we said she played the critic Lillian, like she really like played that role well, that she's just like a fucking shitty critic. I thought Ralph Fiennes was great. I thought he did a really great job of playing that like I'm not really a villain, but I am a villain type of thing.
Right.
And then everybody in between was just either funny or like, again, just perfectly playing the role.
The details are very good. The way the kitchen was set up, the way the line chefs were. I got like some PTSD with those surgical tongs and the plating things, because that is like how
Really?
Michelin star
Yeah.
restaurant is. It's like
You got to be on your shit.
Do you really have
Yes.
to say yes, chef?
absolutely.
But yeah, no, I think ultimately for being like a comedy and a thriller and like all that horror or whatever you want to call it, I think it actually had like a pretty nice message to it. Again, part of the reason why I got choked up there at the end, because it's just this guy who loves doing a thing and he got just driven to his breaking point to where he no longer enjoys it, no longer enjoys living because, he kills himself at the end with everybody
Yeah.
else. But there was that little moment at the end there, where he briefly enjoyed it once again. But I think by that moment it was too late. Like everything had come to, like, there was no going back at that point. I loved it. It's got a 7.2 on IMDb. I'm giving this 7.5. What about you, Marvin?
Yeah, I'm right there. 7.5 was good. I think the pacing was good. It didn't seem like to have a really dull moment to me in
No.
this movie.
It didn't.
I wasn't
No.
checking the clock or anything. So yeah, really good.
Dusty?
Yeah, every serving told a tale, and it was great. Yeah, love
Yeah.
the way they did it. Brilliant, actually.
What's your rating?
7.5.
Okay.
I'm agree with you guys. That's
Nick?
I'll go 7.5 too.
Whoa.
Nice.
Across the board,
Ooh.
7.5.
Unanimous
That's big.
decision.
Yeah, that's
Very
big.
much
Big.
enjoyed it.
Never seen before, I don't think, on
easy.
harsh language.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
no. I'm glad this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to have to do with like cannibalism. I don't know why I thought that. I just did. I think it was because it came out alongside this other movie called Everything But the Bone, which was a cannibal type of movie. So maybe that's why I thought that. But yeah, and one other thing I just want to say too is I really liked the cold open that this movie did, which was just like establishing how shitty of a character Tyler was. Like how just fucking pretentious he was about food.
Yeah.
And like, and how sort of just like Anya Taylor-Joy's character was kind of just like, this is not for me.
I mean,
Right.
the guy blew his brains out, and Tyler's just like sucking down that bone marrow like nothing happened.
Bro, when he said that, he's like, embalm me in this, I fucking was cracking up. That shit was so fucking funny.